Well, the long journey has finally come to a close. We'll get to the review in a minute, but I did want to start with something a little different. It should be fairly obvious to even the most imperceptive of y'all that I am in fact a small YouTuber. That being the case, I'm not used to very much engagement on my videos. I mostly do this for fun, so that doesn't really bother me. But I was blown away by the amount of engagement my playthrough of .hack IMOQ actually got. From the occasional commenter to the regular ones, I just want to say, thank you. I said this in the final part of quarantine, and I want to reiterate it here. Y'all had an impact on this experience, whether you believe it or not, and y'all made my favorite games so much more special to me because of your words of encouragement, your helpful tips, and even your criticisms of my reviews. As someone who grew up playing games mostly by myself, you'd think an identical twin would count, but our high level of symbiosis precluded any conversation or engagement. I never learned to appreciate that even single-player games can be a communal experience and, for that matter, a communal experience can make for a better overall gaming experience. If you've watched my reviews or rabbit hole videos, you're aware that I normally don't struggle for words. That's why I find it significant that I can't put into words how meaningful of an experience of .hack IMOQ this was for me because of all of you. Thank you. Now fuck off, let's get to the review. And beware of spoilers. As the final chapter in .hack IMOQ, Quarantine is tasked with having to tie up a lot of loose ends. Early on in the game, we get a pretty juicy reveal that the character Mia doesn't actually have a player behind a computer screen controlling her. She is in fact a player character-like manifestation of the 6th phase Maha the Temptress. What I find masterful about this pivotal reveal is the amount of groundwork established early on in the previous volumes to lead us up to this big reveal. I still do take issue with some of the pacing of Mia's unraveling and mutation, the second volume, but I think overall the writers did a brilliant job leading up to this dramatic moment because they didn't put all their writer eggs in one basket. We had clues out the wazoo, from Mia's tradable items to her obsession with aromatic grass to her ability to see Kite's Twilight bracelet to, well, you get the idea. And I think this one example is a microcosm of the overall writing quality. Through the strength of the parallels between the games and other .hack content, as well as to other events within the games themselves, there are resonances emanating throughout, subtle hints that germinate over the course of this epically proportioned game. And the key here is that nothing is dropped. With the amount of seeds the writers sow, you'd expect some dropped storylines or plot holes, but that doesn't really happen. If I had to pinpoint one issue with the writing, it would be the secondary characters, and I really hate to call this an issue, because I don't know how you could take this gargantuan cast of playable characters and ensure that all of them were adequately woven into the overarching narrative. But it is painfully obvious who is Protag-kun, who are main characters, and who are spares. That being said, I love all of them except Pyros. I love the developments they do get that we can appreciate through various side quests and email chains. As I've mentioned before, I dreaded the mountain of side quests you have to get through at certain junctures, but I never walked away from a side quest thinking, well, that could have been an email. But after taking down Korbanik and reviving the Lost Ones, I left the game not giving a flying fuck about what was going to become of the secondary characters. Sure, I was interested in Black Rose reconnecting with her brother Kazu, Elk reconnecting with Mia, Balmung going back to being Mr. Awesome Cool Guy, etc. And the final emails from the secondary characters were a nice touch, but I just don't feel like I got a compelling enough reason to make me believe that their potential contributions throughout all 4 games actually mattered at all. I mean, the waifus like Gardenia and Terajima Ryoko, maybe. But everyone else? Meh. And that leads me to my second criticism, which is related to this problem of the secondary characters. I'm so glad that they got the attention they did in terms of character development. It was really great writing. But much of that came through side quests, and my chief complaint with that is the pacing of how those were doled out. For much of the games, after beating a major boss like a Phase or Kubia or something, you'd log out and be immediately bombarded by a barrage of emails from your secondary characters as if they were saying, "Hey, remember me? I still exist!" This was overwhelming. And like I said in my playthrough, I never walked away from a side quest, yes, even the Pyros missions, thinking, well, that was a complete waste of my time. I found them enjoyable, particularly because of the masterful character development contained within them. But how they were doled out was overwhelming and clunky at times. It's just kind of a funny observation that this problem is entirely due to the fact that the writers actually did a good job making sure even the secondary characters were compelling. My final criticism specific to this game is the final boss fight. We have worked our asses off prior to this moment. Everything has led to this. We fought phase after phase and even sacrificed our ability to data drain, our one trump card, in the final showdown with Kubiya in order to get here and save all of the coma victims CC Corp just wants to sweep under the rug. I'm extremely disappointed to say that, with the exception of the final part of the boss fight, the battle with Korbanik is underwhelming and annoying. There are 3 parts to this battle and the first 2 parts are not challenging in the slightest. They just take a ridiculous amount of time to get through. It's not until the final part that we actually see some satisfying challenge in what is supposed to be the ultimate showdown of, and if you couldn't heretofore surmise how old I am, you sure as shit should be able to now once I finish this reference, Ultimate Destiny. That's just not good. A multi-stage boss battle is supposed to have a good build-up in difficulty and demands placed upon the player. Given the track record with the Kubiya fights, I can't say I'm shocked to see that the devs never got this down, but it absolutely required much better execution in the final boss fight. Other than that, the criticisms I mentioned in my previous reviews about gameplay mechanics are pretty much the same. The menu interface is clunky to maneuver, which is made painfully obvious in combat scenarios since playing the game with any strategy at all will require near constant interaction with the interface. The improvements upon the data drain skill we get in each volume are nice, but the fact that there are no cosmetic differences kinda cheapens the idea that these are shiny new improvements granted to us for making it to the next volume of the game. And grunty racing? Just don't. And here's where I want to take off my reviewer cap and talk to you, the audience of 2023 and beyond. I hope you play these games. For all the criticisms I could come up with, you will not find better storytelling or a more captivating experience. If you let it, this game will consume you in the best way possible, especially if you immerse yourself in the other .hack content. While not necessary, the games only get better if you approach them after having been steeped in the context of .hack Sign, .hack Zero, .hack Epitaph of Twilight, and various others. If you have a curious and imaginative mind like I do, you will leave this experience full and satisfied. And if you are brave enough to engage with the rest of the .hack community, we can seem a bit intense at first, I know, you will find yourself among some of the most quirky, passionate, beautiful people in the entire gaming community, at least in my humble opinion.